This podcast is part of the Pull Up a Chair podcast network. Let's build community through connection, conversation, and collaboration. This podcast is sponsored by Lever Consulting, editing with a purpose. Check them out at leverconsulting.com for a free consultation.
What does it mean to be happy? 'Cause it looks like we all don't know. Glass half full or empty. Man, we just putting on a show.
Hi, I'm Jake,
And I'm V,
and you're listening to the It's Working podcast.
where we take deep dives into mental health, breaking stigmas, and starting conversations.
Oh, you know, I try to find a purpose in my life to drive me, to guide me. Oh, doctor, I feel dead inside.
We are not healthcare professionals, and our opinions should not be taken as facts or as medical advice. To see any sources, resources, or study we speak about in this podcast, please check out our website, linked in the description of this podcast. If you or a loved one is struggling, there is hope and there is help. Some helpful resources can be found on our website, linked in the description of this podcast. It's Working Podcast is a production from the Pull Up a Chair Foundation. All opinions in this podcast belong to our hosts and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Pull Up a Chair Foundation. Okay, guys, we are back, and we've had a few bummer episodes back to back, so I thought we'd do something fun, mostly to halfway embarrass the co-host here. I have been out of the dating game since I was like 19, and I'm almost 30 now. But I got a youth next to me who knows what it's like to date and
Oh my God.
to be in the scene and the crowd and with the youth.
Not even.
So, what is modern dating like, Jake?
It sucks.
It sucks.
Man, let me tell you. No, some aspects of it are terrible. Like, so meeting people is hard enough. Like, we have those, we have like a bunch of like, okay, so you're familiar with like dating apps, right?
I've
got, like,
heard of them. They
well, like,
all came out before I stopped dating.
I suppose. So like there's like, name a few, like Tinder, there's Bumble, there's like Hinge now, like a couple other ones, like
I think I've seen the Hinge commercials.
yeah.
Yeah.
They've done really good advertisements, but I mean, what they don't tell you about those apps is a lot of times like the more useful features they lock behind a paywall.
Like what features?
Like seeing who the heck even likes you. Like
Oh.
yeah. That one was really sucky at the beginning. It was like I downloaded one of them. I'm not going to say which one, but I downloaded one of those
No,
apps.
call them out. Which
No,
one?
I don't want to do this
Is
because
it
then
Grindr?
we have like
I
what?
thought-
Holy moly, no!
Why are you embarrassed then?
Oh my god! No, it was not.
Okay.
No, so like you have the ability to like see profiles and like swipe on profiles and like, you know, show that you're interested.
Yeah.
But if you want to know who is also swiping on you, you have to pay like a monthly subscription or an annual subscription
Well, then how do you
to
keep-
unlock that feature of like, oh, you know, here's Clarissa. She liked you. You should like her back. You know, otherwise they blur out all of the ones that like you, and it's roulette at that point. Like the odds of you like swiping on each other is like
How do
you have to be fated at that point.
How do you talk to each other then?
Oh my god, it's so difficult. So aside from, because there were two that I was on. There was so there was this one called Upward, which it was specifically for, don't judge me, it was specifically for Christian singles to meet, people who have similar faith, and so I saw
I
it.
can see how that would make things easy. Yeah.
It would, yes. You would think so. I downloaded it to give it a shot because I had just seen it scroll across like some advertisements on like YouTube or like I think maybe Instagram was where I actually saw it. But I downloaded it, I gave it a shot, and I, started looking at profiles. I saw, girls that I liked, and I like went to go like swipe on them, and they're like hundreds of miles away. Even though I set the filter to like, moderately nearby, like I think I said like within 25 to like 50 miles is what I was comfortable like traveling to meet someone.
Can I make a Christian joke real quick?
Sure, go for it.
You're all close to each other in the eyes of
Oh
God.
my Lord.
I'm sorry.
I suppose so. But
I'm
you know
so
what I
sorry.
mean? It's like, it's so dumb because all the ones that like seemed really cool, like we had similar interests and like they were very interesting, they ended up being like 150 miles out or something. Or like all the ones that were swiping on me were like 200 or something. It's like, are you serious?
Yeah, that's not going to work.
The ones that I did match with that were close by, they also could not carry a conversation to save their lives. Like, it was so dry from the very beginning. From the, hey, nice to meet you. I really liked, that one picture on your profile of you at camp. Do you go there often? No.
Oh. So you want a moist conversation, not a dry
No.
one.
Oh, I don't like that word, but I just don't want what... For those of you out here who don't already know, the worst thing you can do when you're on an app to meet people is to act like you are not trying to meet people. Like, why are we kidding ourselves? Let's be real open and honest right now. We're both on there for one reason, and that's to meet people because we're introverted. This is our last chance to really branch out. We can't date within the friend group because that's weird or anything like that. We don't go out often enough to meet new people out in the wild. So this is our last chance. Why are you going to do someone like that where you're like, you both swipe? So here's the thing too. You both swipe on each other and that's like an open declaration of you're interested.
Okay.
And then you're just going to be, for lack of a better term, so boring. So boring. And I'm not trying to be mean, but it's like, you guys, it's clear that both of you like each other. Why is it so hard to keep a conversation going? Does that make sense?
I guess so.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills because that seemed to just be everything, except for the people that were hundreds of miles away. Those were some of the best conversations that I had. So maybe it's just where we're at, region locked. Maybe people just don't know how to talk within bigger cities. I don't know.
I mean, coming from a person that met and fell in love with somebody in a bigger city, I found it very easy to do so because there's so many people to choose from that you're more likely to bump into somebody who wants to talk.
Sure.
But that was also 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel so
And to be fair, I do also agree with that sentiment. Bumping into people should be easy. I just don't go out enough. Or at least I used to not go out enough to where I was relying on these apps. But I now will come out and say that they're garbage, and I think people should just go out and just try new things. Go out and try a dancing hall or something. If you don't like dancing, just go dancing.
I've never seen a dancing hall in my life.
Apparently they exist.
My
buddy keeps inviting me to go and learn salsa dancing at Sac State or something. They have classes.
Okay,
and
that's
stuff.
not a dancing house.
Okay,
That's a dance class.
Well, dance class is what I
That's
meant.
different.
But I imagine they convert a classroom into more of a hall sort of situation, and there are people just dancing. Go and explore the world, see what happens. Go to the river and try talking to somebody. I don't know, but...
And don't be creepy about it.
Don't be creepy about it either. That's the other thing.
Have you ever met anybody creepy? I know it's not as common for men as it is for women.
Mm-hmm.
But have you ever came across a weirdo on the internet?
I have come across many a weirdo.
Ooh.
Not just on the internet, but in real life.
Okay, do tell.
I will not give names.
Yeah,
but
obviously.
Yeah. I mean, it's just I think it's more difficult. Maybe it's just because I'm a trusting person, but I feel like it was definitely a bamboozling thing. Seemed really nice at first, was interested for some time.
Yeah.
And then just once we start getting comfortable, boom. There goes the neighborhood.
Oh, is this this is the one I know about?
I believe this is the one that you know about, but yeah. So we talked in an earlier podcast about boundary settings and how like one of my things is like no, like respect my no, like that's huge for me. It's a new development. That's why is this season of like trying to like figure out what kind of a partner works for me and who I can see myself with long term and all that is that was a lesson learned.
Yeah, I mean, it's good that you found out early with this person because things were moving incredibly fast in the beginning.
It's true.
And we were talking
that
like
they were
locomotive speeds.
There was there was that, yeah. There was also a lot that would have come with that pairing as well, like a lot of responsibilities, the likes of which I think I took in stride, but also like would have been real challenging in the beginning. But like I said, she was nice. I considered it, and I was like, yeah, I could do it. Been doing things similar all my life. How much more difficult can it be? I could read a parenting book or something.
You took on all the... You always do this. You like look for ways that you can help, and you don't mind sacrificing, even if it's something that you shouldn't necessarily sacrifice about. Like, how you even got yourself onto this podcast. We were hanging out.
That's not true.
And I was all like, hey, what are you doing next Thursday?
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, do you want to co-host on my podcast for a season? And then even this episode, I was all like, hey, do you want to talk about what modern dating is like? And you're sitting over there, and you're redder than the tomatoes in my fridge.
It's very hot in here right now.
No, it's not.
It is.
No,
it's
it's
warm.
not. I have the AC on.
I don't feel it. I run warm, okay? I'm very warm-blooded.
You mean your pale skin, so I can see it when you blush?
I actually don't think I'm that pale.
You're not the most pale, but you're fairly pale.
Okay. That's probably true. No, but so part of the reason I think I do that though is because I'm trying to echo the advice that I just gave to our listeners about like putting yourself in those like potentially uncomfortable situations because you never know what'll come out of it. Like, yeah, I didn't know what to expect out of saying like yes to like a Thursday recording session and then agreeing to like a semi-regular like, recording schedule. But from it, we've got X amount of, shows out now and we're helping people hopefully along the way. That's the goal here, and the hope and the dream at least is that these words are not lost to like the ether that is the internet or the void that is the internet, but like people are getting some real like, gems of wisdom out of this stuff. And I'm willing to talk about my, encounters with dating in this current day and age, because if it's any sort of piece of solace to anyone out there feeling the same way or someone struggling with something similar, then darn it, I consider it worth it. I'll make a fool of myself if it helps someone else along the way, so there's that.
I mean, you can't be any more a fool than this old woman, like, what is the dating like with the youths?
What are they used up to these days? Are they still on their TikToks?
No, they'd say Facebook.
On the Facebooks?
On the Facebooks.
Are they on the Facebooks still?
On the Facebooks. And I think the only things that were really out when I was dating was, like, the big ones, like eHarmony and Match.com.
Oh my god.
Right?
Match is still a thing.
Is it still
Yeah, I think they have an app now. I think that's one of the ones that I was looking at, but then I like did my research and I was like, $100 a month for like a guaranteed match? That's ridiculous. I'll take my chances with fate. Goodness.
Yeah. And then I met partners the old-fashioned ways at school, a lot of the library, including the teachers, which is just like, I look back and I cringe at myself. I dated teachers at my university, including a security guard, which is super, like, so bad. I was 17, 18.
Seems a bit of like a conflict of interest there.
Right? Oh my god.
Could speak to that a little bit in this current day and age.
Yeah, it was super rough, and I didn't realize...
That would go back to the conversation about crazies, though.
Yeah, it goes back. I didn't think it was bad, I didn't realize it was bad, but now I look back as an adult, and I'm like, you were 20 26, and you thought it was okay to date an 18-year-old right out of high school who's going to the college that you've worked at for like 4 years. You were a disgusting human being.
Yeah.
And emotionally taking advantage of, honestly, just an overgrown child.
Yeah.
Because at like 17, you were still a child. 18, borderline. 19, you're just figuring out what being an adult is about. Grown-ass men, leave the teen girls alone.
Yep.
There's plenty of adult women out there who want your shrunken up bits, so move on. That's what it really all comes down to with you guys. Maybe I'm bitter because I'm older now and I realize how taken advantage I was when I was younger.
Wow.
But they just need to move on. Be with a grown woman or buy a toy. Leave the teen girls alone.
Goodness gracious.
Okay, little off topic.
If I wasn't red earlier, I certainly am now.
We're both adults here. It's fine.
I suppose. Just very different upbringings and, like, walks of life.
My upbringing wasn't all that different. I was grown up Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
Latino Catholic, specifically.
Mm. I was not, though.
You were not, but, you know, of a very similar faith.
Yeah.
The ideology isn't that different. And then, it's just... Okay, I was talking about this with my husband.
Mm-hmm.
So my husband and I were talking about how just odd that it's so socially acceptable for a girl of, like, barely legal age to be with, like, a 30-year-old grown man.
Mm.
But it's like, if you think about it, he's twice her age, could have easily fathered her. But for some reason, because she's 18, it's fine.
Yeah.
Or if it was like a year earlier and she was 17 and he was in his late 20s, that's not fine. When in either situation, it shouldn't be fine at all. But just culturally, it's not seen as a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not really seen as a bad thing until he's like 60-something.
Yeah.
And then it's not even that he is demonized, it's that she is.
60-something with an 18-year-old is still pretty weird.
Yeah, no, it's still weird.
Yeah.
But in those situations, he's not demonized. She is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always all like, oh, well, she must be a gold digger. She must be with him for the money. But, like, why aren't we talking about how disgusting it is that he's going for somebody who is so...
Grandchild
young?
at that point.
Yeah, somebody's so young. And why is it that...
Because we covet youth, and it's a thing within us, and it's not pretty. But...
No, it's so gross. And when I was, you know, of that age, I thought it was fine.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I didn't think it was weird that men in their 20s and 30s were hitting on me. I was flattered because I had no idea how wrong it was. And I was socialized of thinking, oh, it's a good thing. It's a good thing you're with an older guy because they're more experienced. And,
they'll take care of you. They, no.
You know, I look back and it's like, that is awful.
Yeah.
Like, that is so awful. I was taken advantage of so much. And at the time, I thought that I was the problem. And it's like, no, it was the 30-year-old men who were wanting a 17-year-old. And I thought that, you know...
I think that's just a real issue there.
You know, it is. Yeah. And then, like, I thought, you know, as I got older, I realized how wrong it was. And I see it, like, with celebrities, especially, like Millie Bobby Brown. Mm-hmm. We all watched her grow up via Stranger Things. And now, all of a sudden, these grown-ass men are coveting her. And it's like, gross, she's a little kid
Oh, yeah,
still.
like the day she turned 18, then, like, all the tweets about, like, oh, man, she's legal. Like, oh, God.
No, why is that?
Some people outing themselves as, like very, like, predatorial, like, oh my God, well, now all my fantasies are, like, justified. It's like, wait a minute, you were having fantasies of her, like, from how long ago? You know, not justified just because now she's 18.
Yeah, you didn't start 2 days ago.
Get help, yeah.
And the fact that nobody really thinks of it as wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And when they do
so
think
gross.
of it as wrong, who do they demonize? The younger person for some reason. Because somehow they think the younger person has more power. No,
Yeah.
your brain isn't fully developed when you're that age. Like, date within a reasonable age group.
Yeah. I wanted to look up some of the quotes about her.
Oh, God.
Well, like no, we're not gonna do that because they'll get I'll get upset with the quality of like people on the internet.
You know, see, and then we're supposed to meet each other on the internet.
Yeah.
Cycling back to how this episode started.
Yeah, I
Because
get really upset with people like that. Like, okay, so talked about him earlier, but Deku has a friend. I'll call. What do we call the friend? Because he has like a real sad boy name, but maybe we just call him Sad Boy.
Okay, sad boy.
Sad Boy. Oh no, Utaku.
Okay.
Otaku or whatever.
Going with it.
Yeah, I think it means something. I forget, but it was that or something else, but we can't put that on the air. But anyways, he talks about girls with Deku in such a very like just real nasty like way. Like the way he talks, you would think that he's like, you know, Joe Cool, like, you know, he's just absolutely killing it in the department of like, you know, the ladies and all that stuff. But then you see him in person, he's just like child. He's a child, and he also looks like he's scared of his own shadow.
Oh.
And he's out here talking about like the type of woman that he's into, and then I look at his picture side by side. I'm like, bud, if I were you, I'd just be happy that someone loves me. Like honestly, like I think that's like legit. I think like there's such a fixation on like what she looks like that I feel like he would miss who she is, if that makes any sense.
Oh yeah, no, I've hung out with guys like that, and then I'm a people person. I joke around about how mean I am, but I'm fairly nice, and I get guys all the time. They're like, "But you were nice to me," and it's like, so.
Mm-hmm.
Your point?
Yeah.
Well, what is your point there? I was nice.
Yeah.
And it's always the guys who aren't particularly aesthetically pleasing that have the most opinions on how a girl should look and how a girl should dress and how she should behave. And this is a real problem in heterosexual relationships. But I've heard that in the far, far depths of the queer community, you see that as well. That for women, there's a lot of scrutiny on how they should look and act. And I wonder why that is. But I have a hard time imagining it's worse than it is in heterosexual communities. Because, oh my god. The way men feel like they can talk about women is awful. And then they wonder why we don't want to get hit on the street.
Yeah. No, I definitely... One of the weirdest interactions I ever had was with a coworker of mine, not where I currently work, but at a previous job, who, while we were taking our lunch break, he asked me, you know, hey, what are your plans for the weekend? And I was like, I don't know, I think I'm going to go and, like, shoot some arrows and stuff with, like, my friends, and we'll probably, like, just hang out. Why? What do you got going on? He's like, well, I'm meeting up with this girl. And I was like, oh, dude, good for you. And then he proceeds to pull out his phone and show me images of this girl.
Please tell me they're clothed.
No, they were not. They were of the risque variety.
That is so gross.
Yeah, I felt my skin crawled. Like I was so uncomfortable, and I was like,
how could he do that to her?
I don't know. I don't understand. I don't understand. Like that's...
See, if she was sharing it to you directly, that's one thing. That's fine. But she wasn't sharing them with you. She was sharing them with him.
Right. I completely get that, which is why, like, as the minute, like, because there was, I will admit, like, there was some lag in my brain. Like, I've stared at a screen longer than I probably should have, going, like, my brain had a moment of disconnect where I was like, what am I looking at? And then and then I filled in the pieces, like, oh, that's a naked woman. And then I, like, looked away, like... I don't know, because my eyes, I think, went to, like, the exterior, like, the room, is like, what is this? Is this, like, some sort of, like, what, and then they, like, focused in, and I was like, oh! And then I looked away, and I was like, And And he was like, what? You don't think she's pretty? I was like, no, she's very attractive. Good for you, man. And I just ate my sandwich in silence because I didn't even know how to explain. He was an older gentleman. He was definitely like more of not like a mentor, but like he would be around the age that a mentor would be for me in that stage of life. So like I didn't know how to explain to him that what he just did was not okay, and like that was a huge breach of trust.
You didn't know how
that
to
was
mentor
meant for your eyes.
mentor.
I did not know how to mentor my mentor, so it was just such a weird spot, and we just went the rest of the day, like, he was doing his work, I was doing my work, but, like, the whole time I was just, like, trying to, like, burn that image out of my head, like, oh my god, I can't believe.
See, and then it's like, I think about that, and I'm like, how do you guys do it? How do you date right now? I wouldn't even know how to go about it.
It's really difficult. I would imagine on both sides. Like, I know at the beginning of this episode, I was like, dry conversations. But, like, I imagine it's hard on both sides. Like, with the acknowledgement of, like, you're also talking to, like, a stranger. And, like, that could be intimidating. But, I still stand by my piece of advice of, like, let's recognize that there's mutual interest here. And, like, let's try and take a little bit more, like, conversational approach, because we're on here for a reason, and let's be true to that reason of, like, getting to know people through this, app and through this website or whatever you're using. But I don't know. That was my only real hang up. I did end up meeting one or two people from that app, and they were very nice, but it was after the fact that we had met up in person, I recognized, like, we're not gonna go.
Chemistry's
We're not gonna go far. Like, yeah, we were stepping on each other's toes. There were little hiccups here and there, little things you pick up on. Like, that's gonna become a thing later on down the line. Different viewpoints, all that stuff, things that like matter, weren't lining up, and it's like, ooh, well, I don't know. You were really nice, but I think this is it for us. So, happy trails. And that part's hard too, especially because there's like almost like a desire to like keep it going,
even though it's not gonna work.
Yeah, even though you can kind of sense that like it's not gonna be like a thing that you go for in the long run. Like there's this like almost, I don't want to say guilt, but it's adjacent to guilt, like almost like a responsibility you feel to like continue to meet, because you've already gone through the steps of getting to know this person, to get comfortable enough to now meet with a stranger on the internet. It's like, that's a process.
Yeah.
Certainly you're not matching and then going out for coffee the next day. If you are, please reconsider, because that is very dangerous. But I know for me, like, this was like a month's work for each. Like, each time that I went to go meet someone, like, we'd been talking for like almost nearly a month, getting to know each other, trusting, like, that we're not serial killers on the internet just looking to, like, for an next victim.
The sunken cost fallacy. Oh, no.
And I will admit here now that I never went to go meet anyone without having, like, some form of, like, weaponry on me. Like, there was always, like, a knife on my hip or something in case it was, like, some, like, sweaty dude in, like, a garage, like, just looking for another victim. There was always the possibility of that.
That is
you
always
can fake
a possibility.
so much. So, if you're gonna meet, just be careful. I'm not gonna say like stay strapped.
Do a public space. Make sure that your location is sent to somebody else, and make sure you're doing it during busy hours.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Like if you have to do it, that's how you do it. Strapped or unstrapped.
Strapped or unstrapped. Yeah.
But see, I think the other real issue with our culture right now is the idea that you have to have a partner. That just being yourself without a partner is like,
it's a bad thing.
Yeah, like, I don't know why.
If you're alone, it means no one's wanting to love you, so you have to find someone to prove that you are lovable.
It kind of relates to like last week's episode of talking about feeling unsuccessful because you haven't hit milestones. And last week's episode it was like financial. I guess this week it's about love or whatever.
Relational.
Yeah, like, you don't have to have a partner by a certain time to be a fully formed human. You don't ever actually need a partner to be a fully formed human.
Mm-hmm. That's good, because I think there's this desire, piggybacking off your point, there's this desire to be in a relationship because that is where we're taught to feel like complete. Is like the phrase that we tell our partners is like, "Oh, you complete me," you know, like,
oh, my better half.
Yeah, my better half, my this, my that, the salt to my pepper, the, you know, jelly to my peanut butter or whatever. Like, you know, it's the other part of you that was always missing. And while that may be a cute sentiment to have, it certainly should not be the mindset you go into looking for a relationship. You should be a complete person.
Bad relationship too.
Yes. You should be a complete person, and you should know who you are, and you should know what you want before doing that. And then those who do not, I feel like they get into trouble a lot.
Yeah.
Get into trouble a lot with that, because they're looking for that better half, that thing to complete them.
Ready to compromise on literally anything to get somebody.
Oh gosh, yeah. Oh gosh.
The sadness. I'm so glad that I'm not in the dating scene anymore.
Yeah.
Especially after this episode. It's like, geez, you guys deal with so much. And I thought it was bad when I was young. Because it was like, oh no, you have to go talk to people.
The worst part is right now is I'm still trying to figure out the difference between, and I'm not like so terrible at it, like I can never pick up on it, but like it is still really hard to figure out like the ones that are just being nice and the ones that are demonstrating interest, because half the time I get them crossed where it's like, oh, she's just being nice, and then my friends are like, dude, if you would ask for her number, she would have given it to you. Like, we'll be out like at a diner, and like the waitress will come over, ask what I want to eat, and I'll be like, oh, can I have this and that? And they go, oh yeah, okay, I'll be right back with that for you. And then my friends are like, dude, she was totally hitting on you. Like, no, I think she was just being nice and doing her job, you morons. But then part of me is like, wait a minute, how come she didn't ask those questions to anyone else at the table? Oh, missed opportunity. Oh well.
Well, see, that happens to me in the reverse a lot. I get a lot of men thinking that I'm interested in them when I'm just literally existing in the way that I exist around people. Actually, I think we talked about a friend. I can't even remember what nickname we gave this person, so we'll have a new nickname. Let's call him Salty. Salty just could not get it through their skull that I just wanted to be platonic friends with them. Even though they have met my husband. We were in a club together.
Oh! Yes! Okay, I remember. I remember now.
Yeah. And it was rough. Like, I'm just being nice. And I'm recognizing that you're a human who deserves kindness. That doesn't mean I want in your pants or want you in my pants.
Sure.
And sometimes, like, when I used to do my job back at the community center, I would get people all the time thinking that I wanted their number or they would give me theirs. And it's just like, no, I am just being a nice person.
Yeah.
I have a good customer service face. Not interested.
That's always really awkward.
It is. It's so awkward. But it's that time, or we give our final advice. But you start this time.
Oh, God. Final advice. I was gonna say, stay strapped, but, like, that's not actually it. I think it would just be, before you take that plunge into the world of dating, whether it be online or in person, like, you should come fully prepared yourself, and then come knowing what you want as well. It'll save you a lot of time in the long run if you know who you are and know what you want / need in a relationship or a partner.
That's a good one. I think mine would be okay with just yourself before you expect a good relationship. And if you're young, don't be with somebody substantially older than you. Age gap relationships are very rarely a good thing.
It's also sage advice.
Yes. All right, guys. We'll see you next week. Thanks for tuning in again. Bye.
See ya. Join the conversation. Find us on social media at It's Working Podcast or link below.
Thanks for listening, and we hope you join us next week.
Be kind to yourself and to others.
What doesn't
Okay, let's talk about Elever Consulting. They help you create so many things. A perfect personal statement, application essays, presentations. They help create writings that truly represent you. They've got writers, editors, and even researchers. Elever Consulting can make all your stuff easy to read, understandable, and enjoyable. They truly take editing to the next level. Not only do they have flexible rates, they also offer assistance with college applications and job seeking. Check them out at eleverconsulting.com and get a free consultation.